Now in the crypto market, just as in stocks or real estate, there are no guarantees, only educated, well-informed opinions based on data and rational analysis. And so if you're looking for somebody to guarantee that ADA will reach a fixed price within a predetermined time frame for sure, then unfortunately this channel may not be for you, because in order to guarantee a price prediction and give a time frame within which my prediction will surely be realized, I'd have to either be able to see into the future or be willing to lie, and that's not what this channel is about. Again, I'm only interested in providing fact, evidence, and sound analysis from which you, the individual investor, can then make your own decision on. And if that's what you appreciate, then be sure to subscribe for more content like this. Anyway, I want to discuss a very interesting concept that I've been thinking about for a while now, and that is the concept of disruptive innovation in the modern economy. It's no secret that the world is changing quickly and technology is advancing at a pace that is unheard of in human history. In the lifetime of the average child born today, we will achieve things that our parents and grandparents would have considered to be impossible and unreal. But yet why is it that while retail and the way that we travel and the vehicles which we travel within have changed to a point where they are quite literally unrecognizable to those same things just 20 or 30 years ago, some industries have remained barely changed, and the one that I'm thinking of, and the one that is probably most applicable to Cardano, is the legal industry and the practice of law. In most developed countries like the USA or the UK, the practice of law, and more specifically lawyers in general, have a reputation to be feared and a reputation for being unscrupulous and having the ability to crush their opponents using their knowledge of the legal system. And often it can be the case that legal battles are won or lost, or that a defendant is found innocent or guilty based upon the ability of their legal representative. Law has remained one of the most inaccessible and centralized areas of knowledge in the modern world. If you can't afford the high fees of a good lawyer, which can run into the thousands of dollars per day, then you stand with less of an advantage than a person or corporation who can. And by the way, I'm not saying that lawyers are redundant in the modern world at all, and in many cases they're very knowledgeable in a specialized area, but I still feel that on average the reputation which lawyers have developed amongst the general population, a reputation for squeezing as much as possible out of each client, is probably well deserved. Again, I'm not saying that lawyers shouldn't earn a good salary. You know, they've probably worked hard for their position and have large student debts to pay down. But the root cause of the fact that legal professionals are in many cases able to overcharge, in my opinion, stems from two factors. The first is asymmetric information, and the second is an altogether bureaucratic and outdated legal system. And as we go along, I'll explain why I believe that Cardano has the capacity to solve many of these issues and actually open up the legal system to be beneficial to the average person, instead of being something which average people try to avoid because of the high associated costs. Anyway, beginning with asymmetric information, the only thing that most people really know about law is that it's going to cost a lot, and so immediately there is a huge information gap between the vendor and the customer. It's like going into a mechanic's workshop and knowing nothing about cars, and if they're really unscrupulous, they could even make up fake issues or complications to increase the billable time working on the vehicle. And unfortunately, this practice isn't uncommon in law. When you have a combination of high administrative and formal costs such as licensing and so on, and then you have large student loans, there is a strong incentive to bill customers more than they should be billed. Now, Cardano aren't going to be replacing lawyers anytime soon, but they can offer smart contracts which don't require any intermediary parties, and therefore cut out the need for a middleman in many cases. And this has two main implications. The first is that for smaller and simple legal contracts, there is a decentralized alternative instead of having to go to a lawyer, which in effect creates competition and forces legal professionals to be more reasonable in their pricing. And secondly, it makes law a bit more accessible to the average person. Now, of course, experience with Cardano smart contracts isn't going to make me a qualified legal professional, but it will give me some basic experience so that when I am consulting a lawyer, I know to some degree what I'm talking about. Let's take it back to the example of the mechanic. Now, if I go into a mechanic's workshop with my vehicle and they're really unscrupulous, they may try to overcharge me, in fact they probably will. But if I've had some kind of experience with cars and I know the basics of what I'm talking about, they're likely to think twice about doing so. The thing which I personally like about Cardano the most is that they're making accessible something which is as of right now fairly daunting and inaccessible to the average person, namely the area of law, and of course Cardano aren't going to solve everything here, but they're making a step in the right direction and they're providing something which potentially makes Cardano's users' lives easier, and I believe that this value proposition will be realized in the value of ADA over time. But hey, that's just my opinion, and I'd love to know what you think in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe for more.